always the same way. So thinking outside the box, looking at things in a different way, especially if you are struggling to find an answer or struggling to work it out. So we learn lots of different ways of looking at the same things. So, today I'm going to talk a little bit about the calculation policy at the beginning, show you where you can find the calculation policy and where you can find help. I will talk briefly towards the end about times tables, rockstars, numbots and math seeds, which is new this year. We'll talk a little bit about the mental maths. I've already had a couple of questions about mental maths in school. Problem solving is, as I said, we're having a focus on that this year to try and encourage children to look at problems in lots of different ways to try and find a solution. And what can you do to help out if your child is stuck? And also some ideas about practical maths that you can do at home and some useful websites that you might find helpful. So first off, the calculation policy. Where can I access and understand the calculation policy? Now there is a long-term plan for each of the year groups on Canvas, so whichever year group your child is in, if you go to Canvas, you will see, this is working, there we go. There's a yearly overview, this is the year 4 one, a yearly overview, but there's also this, which is our long-term plan, so it's got the terms, autumn 1, autumn 2, spring 1, spring 2, and then just a quick summary of which areas of learning your child will be doing in each of those terms. So you can see in the maths one at the top there, we are starting off with place value, looking at addition and subtraction, different methods, and then looking at shapes, 2D shapes, and symmetry. In the student planners, you will find pages like this, which have pictures of some of the methods, well, all of the methods that we use in that year group. So this is a year 4 one again. I'm a year 4 teacher, so the planner I have is a year 3-4 planner. And this is just some pictures. The students, we will work through all of these methods throughout the year. So it's the start of the year, they may not know them completely yet, but we will work through them. If they come home and ask about anything, one of the first places you could look is in their planner at these stages or on Canvas. And obviously if you do have any questions, please ask the teacher. I'm going to go into these in a bit more detail later. And here's another one, this is year 3-4. This is looking at multiplying 3-digit numbers by 1-digit number. We start off with pictures. We actually start off with concrete. Meaning things, they have actual things that they can pick up and hold and move around. We use base 10, we use counters, we use cubes. At home you can use anything. You can use pasta, you can use rocks from the garden, anything that will help is useful. Then we move on to pictures and we kind of match. So these are the counters. If we've done it with counters and then we start to use the counters alongside the pictures, they start to see the link. And then we move from pictures alongside the written methods, and then over time, the more we practice that, they see those links as well. And we do that in all areas of maths. We use manipulatives, things that they can move around, pictures, and then the written ones, because numbers are very abstract. It's very difficult for them to understand. So TT Rockstars, I'm just going to talk about these quickly. Hopefully, you've all heard of TT Rockstars. We had Rockstar Day. Not last Friday, the Friday before, where we were dressed as rock stars, and it is a really good program to get your children on to practice their times tables. Times tables is one of those things that when I was at school you had to learn it. You just had to stand up and say it and learn it. And it is one of those things you do just have to learn. You have to know. But TT Rockstars is a much more fun way for them to practice them and learn them, because they can have competitions with their friends. We have competitions in school between classes. They get things so that they can change the outfit or change the hair of their rock star, and there are different levels of rock star they can go to. So there is a competition each week. I look for, as well as having classes against each other and children against each other and sometimes children against teachers, I also look for students who have been on it regularly, who have made the most progress within themselves instead of comparing themselves to somebody else. If they've made progress, we celebrate that as well. And then Numbots is part of the same program, part of the same subscription, but instead of looking at times tables, this looks at basic number knowledge and number sense, so understanding what a number is. It looks at subitizing, which is where you can understand. So the digit 5 doesn't mean anything if you see it. You might learn that it means 5, but you also need to know what is 5. What does 5 look like? 5 blocks, 5 people, 5 fingers. And it might be 3 girls and 2 boys, and that makes 5. So Numbots is a really good way to practice the other basic blocks of number knowledge. And then this year, instead of using Education City, we have reading eggs for the English side of things that we're using, the reading, and part of that is math seeds, which we are just exploring now. It's new, so your teachers will probably be setting some things on math seeds for the students, especially I know up in year 5 and 6 there's slightly different levels of the math seeds. So we're still exploring that. If you have any questions about this, please come to me, because I'm learning how to use it, I'm navigating through it and helping the teachers and the students as well. So if you have any issues, please let me know and we'll have a look together. So that might come home as well. Mental maths is something that will come home every other week as a homework to practice. We also do it in class each week, so it's part of the homework policy. We have a little mental maths test in the class to see how they're getting on. Again, this isn't anything to worry about, this is to help the teacher so that we can see which methods would be more useful in the class to be learning. When you have the mental maths homework come home, you don't have to, in class we have a time we time it. And it's important that they do get used to those timings, because tests later in the year are timed as well. And if it's the first time they've been timed, they might have a little panic and it will affect their thinking. So the more they practice that, the easier it will get for them. The more they practice being on a time limit, the less they will panic about it when they've got used to it. But at home, it's more important that you talk to your child about the questions. If there are words in there that you do not know, or that they do not know, it's okay to talk about them in your home language to help them understand, and it's okay to just slowly work through each question. Please don't spend a long time on this. I would say 15-20 minutes. And if you're finding that it's upsetting them, or it's upsetting you, or you start fighting about it, please stop. Yeah? That's not your job. I want you to enjoy your time with your child. If you're finding that the mental maths homework is difficult every week, let the teacher know. And I can tell you there's lots of other things that you can do at home that will help your child in maths, and just let the teacher know, we didn't practice the mental maths because they didn't want to. It turned into an argument, and nobody wants that. They just start to think that they hate maths, they hate mental maths, if every time they're faced with it, it turns into a negative experience. So if you are finding that, please let us know. And that's the mental maths. And this is what the Year 4 mental maths looks like. And you can see there are questions here that I will read out in the class, and this is the paper that the students write the answers on. And again, please don't focus on the score, don't focus on what they get. We're looking at the progress that they make. At the start of the year, I did one of these last week and we hadn't even had one as homework, so at the start of the year they might not get any of them right. In 3 weeks, if they get 1 or 2 right, that's brilliant, and we celebrate that. It doesn't have to be 15 out of 15. And if it is, it means they're finding it too easy as well, so we need to give them more challenge. So please don't focus on the score, just focus on the understanding of the language, the words. There's lots of maths words that we don't use in everyday life, and it's really important that they learn those. Problem solving, as I said, we're going to start looking at problem solving and try and encourage children to look at problems in many different ways, such as the car park question at the beginning. Now this is one method that we use in the classroom, and this is rucksack. We use it as an acronym to help them remember things easily. It means to read the question really carefully, and the teacher will model this in the class over and over. So if you have problems or questions at home, then I don't know what to do this. First step, let's read it together. Which of the words in there are important? Which of the things can we forget? Try and understand the question. What is it asking us to do? Then choose the method. Is it an addition? Is it a subtraction? How will we do that? Will we get out some blocks or some Lego bricks? Will we use a written method if we're working on written methods, and then solve the problem and write down the answer. And then this last one is the one that everybody always forgets. Check it. Check your answer. Check it by working through it again, or check it by working backwards. So take your answer, depending on what the problem was. So this is one of the methods. As I said, use the planner. There are lots of sheets in the planner that can help you. Ask your child questions. If they say, oh, I don't know how to work this out, or did you do anything in school that could help you? Would drawing a picture help you? Would getting some pasta or some Lego bricks help you? What do you do in school that will help you answer this question? Spot the vocabulary, again, choosing those words that will help them to see whether it's an addition. If it says all together, it means we're putting them all together, so it's probably an add. If it's what is left, it's probably a subtraction because we're finding out what's left after something else has been taken away. And then trial and error. This is a method for different kinds of problems instead of word problems where they might have a little bit like a Sudoku or something like that to try and work out, and they have a go, and then if it doesn't work, instead of completely trying again, they think, was I close? So you give it a go and then use what you found out to say, well, maybe I just need to change it a little bit, or maybe I'm way off and I need to try something different. So trial and error is also a very useful way. You know, sometimes it looks like they're just randomly guessing. So as I said, it is really important that they understand the vocabulary. And in particular, these ones are ones that we use in class. That is important that they understand. The names of the shapes, it's important that they know the names of the shapes, 2D shapes, the flat shapes, but also the 3D shapes as they get through the school. Examples, we use greater instead of bigger. I had an example last year. We had some students here, and I put a number on the board. I think I put, let's say, I did this, and I said to one of the students, can you make this number bigger? And they came up and they said, yes, I can. There it is, it's bigger. And they were correct, it is bigger. So in maths, we try to encourage them to use greater. A number that is greater than 36, or a number that is less than 36, instead of bigger or smaller. These words, digits and integers, these trick them quite often, especially in the mental maths ones, when we say, can you write the number 36 in digits? I don't know what that is. It just means that, it's just the numbers. Yeah. So as they come through the school, they should know these words. So please, when if you're looking at homework together at home, make sure that if this number comes up, ask them, do they know what it means? If they don't know what it means, practice it with them. Digits and integers just mean the number the way we're used to seeing it written. And then double and half. Methods to double, methods to half. And just understanding that double means two lots of. So double two, there's two here, there's two here. How many have I got together? Again, you can use Lego bricks, you can use pasta, you can use, I don't know how many dogs you've got in your house, I've got a few, so you can get your dogs together. Whatever, pictures, children, friends, sweets, that always gets their attention. Get some candy out. So what if they're stuck? First thing, let the teacher know. If homework's taking a very long time, please let the teacher know, because it means that something's either worrying them, upsetting them, or something that they don't understand. Share your strategies. I know when I was at school, I learned how to add, and particularly multiply and divide, in a very different way to how we teach now. The way I learned, we get there in the end, to my way, but when I was at school it was, this is how you do it, just learn it, it works. Now, we understand more about how the brain works, and it's really important that children understand why that method works. So that it's easier for them to remember, it's easier for them to internalize, and then they can also apply it in different areas as well. So if you have a different way that works to find the answer, it's okay to share it with them, it's okay to show it to them. If you think that showing them might confuse them because they're learning a different way at school, then talk to the teacher, and we can either help you to see how we're doing it, or we can help you find a way to show them your way without it causing too much confusion. But it is okay, there are lots of different ways to find the answer, and that's what I was talking about earlier, about looking at problems in lots of different ways can help. Again, check the student planner, make it practical, get out those sweets, get out the pasta, get out whatever you have. It might be little pom-poms, it might be anything that you've got lying around at home. If you're doing a problem that goes up to 36, you might not have 36 sweets in your house, you might have pasta, little pasta shells, things like that. There probably is more than 36 of those in your pack that you could get out and use. And then, as I said, ask them questions. What facts do you already know? If you're doubling something, if you're doubling 16, well, do you know what double 10 is? Because you could double 10. And then you can double 6, you can break it up. But we are going to look at some of the methods that we use in school as well in a moment. And can you use pictures? Can you use drawings? Can you draw something that will help you to find the answer? Practical maths that you can do at home, if you want to add in a little extra, or if you do find that you're arguing about the mental maths and you say, no, we're not going to do that. Mrs. Marchese said, we're not to argue about it because that just makes you hate maths. We're going to put this away. We're going to play a game. We're going to get the cards out. We're going to play a game. Greater than or less than. What do you think the next number will be? We're going to roll some dice. Can you multiply those two dice together? It makes it much more fun for them. Go shopping. When you're shopping, talk about the money. Talk about the amount that you need for how many people are in your household. All of these conversations that involve money, life skills, telling the time, going on a journey, or what time do we have to be at school? Okay, well it takes us this long to get there. What time do we need to leave? Okay, and it takes you an hour to get ready in the morning and brush your hair, so what time do you need to get up? All of those kind of things, just get them thinking about all of these areas of maths. Fact of the day or fact of the week. I love maths, I'm a bit of a nerd, so this is the kind of thing that I would have done with my kids. I do it in the classroom. You can do it at home as well if you want to, you don't have to. It could be, I have a number of the week, so I'll put a number up, and each day is tell me another fact about that number. It might be how many tens are in it, it might be is it odd or even, it might be if I round it, what would if I round it to the nearest 10, what would it be, and things like that. Just any kind of conversations at home. Useful websites, White Rose Maths, we take some ideas from this, we kind of loosely follow the curriculum from here. It gives us our ideas, but we get them from lots of different places. As I think was mentioned in Meet the Teacher if you were there, we don't use textbooks, we follow the curriculum, but we get our ideas from lots of different places. But this is really useful. Top Marks is another one. These are all links, and this will be on the
Parent Workshop Wakelet.
Parent Workshop Wakelet.
It's linked into the parent area of the Canvas pages.
Linked to the parent area of Canvas pages. So the video will be in there, and this will be in there. You can see the links there. And I'm going to quickly show you each of these before we move on to the methods. So if you go to White Rose, you can see there's the different year group ones. These are the autumn ones, autumn 1, autumn 2, autumn 3, autumn 4, and then on to spring. So it's kind of broken up. And as I said, we kind of loosely follow this, so do check the long-term plan to see what your child is doing in that term in case it's not quite like this. If the long-term plan says they're starting with shape, then you can skip straight to this one and look at shape. This is the year 1 section. You can see I've highlighted it at the top. And then when you get into it, if you choose one, it gives you some questions like this. So again, you can see this matches the things that we look at in school. These are the base 10 blocks. We actually have the base 10 blocks that we can pull out and use. We then move to pictures of it, and we then start to change this to the digits. So this would be 3, 4, 2, 342. But this is a year 1. So what number has Annie made? We put it in that box. Is the number odd or even? How do you know? How do you know? Is a really good question to ask your children if they give you an answer to something, because then they have to explain their thinking. And that really helps the brain, again, to internalize it and remember it and to prove that they understand it. And if you're worried, it does come with the answers as well. So you can ask them the question, and then you can look to see if they are giving the same kind of answer that you would expect. If they've said something that it means that it's divisible by 2, I can divide it by 2, I can share it with 2, then it shows that they understand. So you can have a look. The answers are in there as well. Top Marks, this is another website. It has lots of games on there. Games is a great way for children to learn because they love playing games, and half the time they don't realise they're learning. They don't realise how much maths they're actually doing because it's fun, and that's why we use things like TT Rockstars and Numbots. So Top Marks is another one. We've got lots of different games on there, and it tells you what the area is about. So place value means hundreds, tens, ones. Mental maths skills in the countdown one. It's a bit like the, does anybody know the TV show, the Countdown TV show? Love that. They have a maths one on there. Enrich. Enrich is a really good website that I'm using particularly to introduce problem solving skills, because Enrich is aimed at the higher level thinking skills in maths. It gives lots of different problems, and you can see it has a challenge level. It says the age range. So you can look at the age range that's suitable for your child. Challenge level, 1 star is the easiest one, 2 stars, it goes up to 3 stars. They do get tricky, but on the Enrich website there is also little links along the top that show you solutions to the problem, so you can have a look for yourself as well. So now, is there any questions about that before I jump into it? I'm now going to start to talk about the way that we teach addition and subtraction throughout the school from year 1 to year 6. There is obviously multiplication and division as well, but these are very in-depth. It goes from year 1 to year 6 for a reason. So I'm doing a quick overview. If you have any questions afterwards, you can ask me. And if you find it useful, let me know, and then we could perhaps do one for multiplication and division later down the line if you think it's something that you would find useful. But are there any questions about where to find things?
Is it on the parent app only?
Sorry?
Can you find these resources on the parent app?
On Canvas in the children's area, there's
links to Top Marks and
Top Marks and TT Rockstars
TT
as well,
Rockstars is
and
on
Reading
there.
Eggs.
And you get to Numbots through TT Rockstars as well.
Yeah, actually I would say as well, for every child is different, and so you might find that your child really enjoys Numbots, for example, which is great because it really teaches children about what a number is, how to recognise it instantly rather than have to count individually. It gives you, the children, like that quick recall of number facts, like number pairs that make 10 or 20 or what makes 7. So that's really, really useful. And Times Table Rockstars, again, if the children have a really quick recall of their multiplication and division tables, it frees up their brain power for other problems, and so it's so important for them to get that quick recall. However, like some children are completely inspired and enthused by the competition and the timing aspect, and they really love to compete with their friends, to compete with each other, to beat their time. And other children just get stressed and say, no, my daughter hated the timed element of it. She got very stressed and wanted to just give it up. So I removed the timing element. If your child is not engaging with Times Table Rockstars or Numbots, ask us, because it's probably a settings issue, and we probably have a solution to get them a bit more interested in it. I think my daughter as well was not quite as inspired. I taught my daughter, not quite as inspired by hard maths. She finds maths a bit trickier. So by actually putting too many more difficult times tables into Times Table Rockstars, she was completely, I don't want to do it. So we actually took it back to make it easier and to make it more successful, and you could take away multiplication tables. So we started off with just 2s, and then we introduced 5, 10s, and then 5s. And every time we introduced a new times table, we took away the others, so she could just focus on one at a time, and then it became easier, and she felt more successful. And so if your child is not engaging with these things, ask us, because we probably have come across that issue before, and we probably have a solution for you.
Yeah, we could change the settings, like you say, and take things away and make it easier. Add them in slowly when they're ready.
Definitely. And just about the practical maths as well. When you are going out shopping, for example, even if you're dealing with thousands of foreign, for young children, that might be a little bit too much for them to calculate with yet. But that's okay. You don't necessarily have to go through the calculations in thousands mentally when they're 5. That's not the issue. But if they understand the concept of when you go shopping, you hand over a note that is greater than the price, and therefore they have to give you back some money which is less than what you gave. If you're introducing the concept of giving money and getting change, that idea helps them when it comes to problems as well. So just talking through what you are doing is super, super helpful, even if they're not doing the actual calculation itself.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, I will move on to how we start in school then, looking at addition and subtraction. I see some faces who came to the addition one before, so some of it you'll see. I've added in the subtraction this time to kind of go alongside each one so that we're looking at them together because they are opposite operations. But before we can start to look at anything, we need to understand what number is. This is what I was talking about before, and this is where numbers does come in handy, pictures comes in handy, getting things comes in handy. So what does 5 look like? How can 5 be shown? It can be shown like that. It could be 5 pairs. It could be actual toys that they have, 5 toys. It could be, I have 5 fingers. Okay? It is okay if your child is still using their fingers to add or to count on. That's okay. These are manipulatives that they carry around with them all the time. So if they learn how to use them in maths, that's great because they've always got them. We never take their fingers away from them.